బ్యాక్ టు మై ఛానల్ ఇష్మా తీక్షణ నిమ్మి తీక్షణ ఈరోజు నేను వచ్చేసి 8th క్లాస్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద పోలార్ రీజియన్ లెసన్ చెప్పబోతున్నాను. లెట్స్ స్టార్ట్. In this chapter you would be reading about the region which is entirely different from any place we have so far seen in 6th and 7th classes. This is not this region has continuous nights and continuous days. From many months, there is no daily sunrise and sunset. It will, like we have in our country. Can you imagine such a place? This region is very cool, so cool that only ice and snow be seen. Ice on land, ice on streams, ice on rivers, and even the whole sea is frozen. Recollect chapter 2 of class 6 where you have answered frozen content. And next, where is the polar region? You have seen the northern pole and southern pole of the globe. The region which lies near the pole is called the polar region. You will be reading about the northern pole region in this chapter. Look at the map 1. It shows that the northern pole and its surrounding regions. The entire polar region has been shaded lightly. Notice the border. Notice the boundary of this region. This is known as the Arctic Circle. The northern part of the continents within the polar region is known as the tundra. Tundra means the very cold. Since the tundra region gets very little sunlight, it has an unusual type of vegetation known as the tundra vegetation. Seasons in the tundra. In the tundra region, it is extremely cold. It is difficult to even imagine the cold in tundra. In our country, the sun rises and the sun sets, but this does not happen in the tundra. It is almost dark throughout November and December, since the sun does not rise at all. This is the winter of the tundra, and it is brightly cool during these months. You know that when it is extremely cold, water freezes to becomes ice. In this extreme cold, the water of the rivers, lakes, seas freezes. Strong cold winds blow and there is snowfall. Due to the severe cold, dark and icy conditions, all plants die. Even birds and animals leave this region and migrate elsewhere. The whole region becomes dark, deserted and desolate. Summer. The sun begins to shine in the tundra around February to March. In the beginning, the sun shines for a maximum of an hour and a half, and then sets gradually. The length of the 2 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, and finally 24 hours. Then for almost 3 months, from May to July, but the sun does not rise overhead. It just hovers a little above the horizon. The horizon is the place where the earth appears to meet the sky. Since the sun does not go high up in the sky, it is never very warm. Even the 3 months of summer, it is cold, but it is comparatively less cold than the winter months. Due to the relatively warm weather, some of the ice melts. The rivers which are frozen during the winter melt at the beginning to flow. The lakes fill up of fill up and huge chunks of iceberg break off the floor and float into the ocean and icebergs. The land, which was frozen and dissolved in the winter, comes alive with color during summer. When summer approaches, many multicolored plains, leeches, grass, herbs, and berries sprout all ground around. The the beer the beer flowers and fruits of the different colors. Many birds and animals come to feed them vegetation. Due to the cold, the upper soil surface of the region is frozen into a rock-like state all through the year. This is called permafrost. There is little soil, only some small plants can grow. The underground soil being hard, it is difficult for trees to grow. Even if they do damage it and uprooted when the strong winds and storms, so most of the tundra regions is treeless. The people Eskimos. The Arctic Circle of region of vast treeless, the plains in seas and barren rocks, islands and harsh cold land is the home of the Eskimos. They live in the squatted settlements in Greenland, Canada, Alaska, and Siberia for thousands of years. The Eskimos were insulated from the people. They lived by hunting and fishing, and they developed all way of life well settled to their homeland. The Eskimos' traditional way of life developed to meet the changes of a far north. The session describes that way of life which the Eskimos followed until result. The mostly commonly accepted meaning of Eskimos is snowshoe eaters. There are two main groups referred to as Eskimos: Inuit and Yupik. Inuit is their languages means the people or the Ognaits. The Eskimos are descendants of Siberia. Now a part of Russia is Northern Asia. And this is the photograph of Eskimos in 1930. Eskimos languages have been spoken for thousands of years, but they were not written doing until modern times. There are three many languages: Alcat, Yupik, and Inupic. Yupik spoken from Northern Asia or Greenland has the most speakers, and it has many dialects. The differences among the dialects are small of Yupik are spoken in southwestern Alaska and Siberia. The Eskimos first entered North America about 5,000 years ago, crossing the Bering Straits from Asia. They moved rapidly across to Canadian north of the Greenland. Some Eskimos groups then moved westward again to the Bering Sea. Today, the Eskimos population is not large, but is growth about 2,000 Eskimos in Siberia, 30,000 in Alaska, 25,500 22,500 in Canada and 43,000 in Greenland. For Eskimos, some Eskimos communicate are on the edge of the forests of the far north, but most of the treeless tundra are Arctic plain that lies north of the forest. Group life. The Eskimos live in fairly small groups. There are villages of about 500 people on the northern Alaska coast. In the eastern region, Greenland, Finland, and a typical group might have 25 to 45 people. Eastern groups move from place to place throughout the year, following the fairly fixed under the seasonal activities. They spend winter near the coast, hunting seals and fishing in summer. They move inland to hunt carbon and gather berries. Sometimes they cover a circuit of more than 1,100 kilometers. They cross snow and ice to sledges pulled by dogs, and they travel on water in open boat called UMAX. Close cooperation in is important if the members of a Eskimos group are to survive in their harsh land. Group members would work together in activities such as hunting. For example, in eastern groups, 10 to 12 hunters would be needed for harpoon seals. Harpoon, a weapon to hunt seals. This is the harpoon weapon. At their holes in the winter sea ice, much large groups, over 100 people, would work together to hunt carbon and large sea mammals such as whales. Some activities are carried out by individuals and small family groups. Trucking bees, fishing with the nets, and gathering berries. Carbon means this one, like a deer and big. In Telugu they say కొమ్ములు, పెద్ద పెద్ద కొమ్ములు అచ్చు డీర్ లాగా ఉంటాయి. Hunting and fishing, because they depend on hunting and fishing to live. Eskimos are highly skilled at these activities. Carbon hunting is essential for need